Greetings duelists and welcome to another video. So on yesterday's deck report we talked about the first deck coming out of Justice Hunters that caught my eye, and that one was Dracotail. There is so much I want to talk about when it comes to this deck. There are so many things that are just not fully explored, and despite my last deck report being like one of my lengthier ones, there's not everything that I have covered with the video. When it comes to Dracotail, this deck probably is going to change the landscape of fusion summoning for the foreseeable future. Not because it's the best fusion engine, but it's because of the ceiling that it provides for other fusion strategies. When it comes to specific Dracotail combos, like Dracotail kind of feels like Tearlament. And I know you're probably thinking, well, Tearlament was a tier 0 deck, why are you comparing this to Dracotail? The reason I'm bringing up Tearlaments is because Tearlaments is one of those freestyle decks where there were no specific combos in order to get to your end board results that you wanted. However, there were so many different lines that you could have done with so many different combination of cards that just ends up being very explosive to the point where you just didn't need a nut engine. You were just fine with the main engine itself. Like, this is just like one example. This is like a hand that I just randomly drew, and look at everything we can do with this hand. Like, as you guys saw just now, I could have made Altharion, but instead I just grabbed back and made Grammel. There are different sequences that you can make, and again, like, there is no right or wrong when it comes to how you make these combos. The integral part about Dracotail and the integral part about like doing all these plays is card economy. You need to make sure that whatever you're doing with this deck, that you just keep up in like a really good card advantage, because like we're about to enter a format where resources are going to be way more important than in past formats. In formats before this one, card economy was okay, but the more explosive your plays were, the better it was in the format. Now we're going to enter a point where the grind game is going to happen a lot more. So there are specific lines that are just valued, and depending on how many cards they're exhausting. Like, I exhausted a Rahu and a Ketsu Dragontail for all these cards, and look how much card advantage we got. We basically got a fresh new hand. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new cards in our board, and that's not even talking about like stuff that are involved in the graveyard. Like, for example, if a fusion monster dies, we can use Pan's effect. There's also Urgula to just grab you back cards. There's 5 mana that can just fusion summon your opponent's turn into different monsters. And that's not even talking about the floodgate effect of Winda, just like stopping your opponent. Now, there are probably over 50 to 100 combos that you can do with very specific cards involving Dracotail. I'm just gonna showcase you a few that just came off to the top of my mind. And most of them are going to involve Blazing Cartesia, because I feel like this card is not as appreciated as some people should give it appreciation in Dracotail specifically. So I'm gonna show you a few combos. The first combo involves Cartesia and Shaddolls Squamata. It could be Shadow Beast, that is another option. Shadow Hedgehog also works here. But the reason for this combo specifically is because you can do this in any deck that just involves this combination. It doesn't have to be Dracotail. So yeah, the combo is you end up dumping Shadow Beast with Squamata, and you end up dumping Garura with Greg Null, because it is a level 6 monsters. And both Garura and Beast will draw you a card. So basically we get a draw 2. Just pretend those draws are our extra draws. Very simple combo. The reason I wanted to showcase you this is because drawing 2 cards is kind of huge in a deck like this one. Like, you pretty much went +1, and that is like without exhausting any of your Dracotail cards. Let's go for the next combo. So now we're going to use more Draco. Now we're going to involve Dracotail into this equation. This is what we can do with Mueller, or now the TCG name is called Mululu. I don't know if I'll get in touch with that, but yeah. Now we're going to set the Rahu Dracotail with Mululu. This is going to be very important because you will see this in future combos. And we're going to send Apkalone with Gregwinol. So the reason we're doing Apkalone is because Apkalone is going to bridge us into, like, it's just going to give us a new monster in order to use the Rahu Dracotail. Now we're going to use Rahu. Rahu will send the Squamata and the Phimena. And we're going to summon Altheria. You're going to see this play a lot. Basically, the main reason we're sending Phimena is because Altheria is going to grab back the Phimena, and the Phimena is going to set us another Dracotail, and the Squamata is going to send something. So Phimena is going to be back in our hand. We're going to send Wendy, and if you saw my last deck report, I talked about how important Wendy is, like in this deck, and how Apkalone just bridges into like the Shadoll engine a lot more, and helps break the board as well. You will see that in a replay soon. So we're not going to do Wendy's effect. Wendy's effect is going to summon the Squamata. And in the end phase, we get back the Cartesia. So what's going on here? We don't got any Dracotail spell traps, but we do have Phimena back into rotation. This Phimena can do a lot of things. We can make Secretarian Dragon with these two. We can make I guess I can show you. I think not. Actually, this doesn't show you what it can do. But we can make another Arthurian. We can make Grammel as well. There's just a lot of things that is going on here. Also, another note is this Blazing Cartesia is going to keep coming back to our hand each and every turn, as long as fusions are touching the graveyard, which is another really important thing about Blazing Cartesia. Alright, let's go to the next combo. So now we're going to add Tearlaments to this mix. This is going to be a little bit more explosive, and you're probably thinking, well, this is a 3-card combo. Surely this doesn't happen often, right? Well, Dracotail is one of those decks where you're going to see 2 to 3 card combos happening like more times than you think. Like, just look at this freestyle combo that we had involving like 4 to 5 monsters. Like, Dracotail is not gonna be a stranger to this. So we're going to have to Imperial Rhino. This can Grass Sharon. This can be Halfness too. This doesn't matter which Tearlament you will use. We're going to go Gregwinol, and Mueller. You already seen this stuff before. This is going to grab us this. We're going to put back the Shadow Fusion. This could also be Shadow Schism if you choose to main deck that card. But we're going to put it back. And with the Cheiron, we made Dracostapelia. This could also be Shadow Winda. This doesn't have to be Dracostapelia. The reason I chose for Dracostapelia is just because, you know, it's just an easy monster negate that can be paired with other stuff. Now, remember what I said about Rahu Dracotail, like in the last combo? Yeah, like these Phimena combos are gonna happen more and more. So we're going to use Rahu Dracotail again. We're going to do the Altherian Phimena Shuffle. We're going to dump Shadow Hedgehog. We're going to set the flame. We're going to add the Phimena back to our hand. And Shadow Hedgehog is going to grab us Squamata. And now we go to end phase and we're going to grab Blazing Cartesia. So look at all this card advantage we just got. And what I really like about this combo is that the follow-up boards that you make on your opponent's turn has a lot of variation. Let's say, for example, this was a Winda instead of a Dracostapelia, and your opponent just got rid of it. I don't know, they kaiju'd over it or something like that, right? Something really cool that we can do is you can Phimena, infuse these two into Secretarian Dragon, and Secretarian Dragon can just bring back Winda. that's just one example. We can use 5 mana to just make Altharion, like using like this Altharion and like the 2 monsters in our hand. This flame could be Horn if you just want to play like the Protect Winda game. That is another option. Secretarian Dragon can also bring back Mueller. You're going to see that in the last combo. But yeah, there's a lot of flexibility on this. That's not even talking about the fact that Pearl Rhino is giving you extra attacks on the monsters. Alright, next combo. So this is Mueller plus a Shaddol. This is not a super impressive combo, but there are merit to it. So yeah, we're going to set, we're going to send. This is going to grab us the Wendy. Again, we're going to just do the Rahu Femena play. Altharion, 5 mana, and we're going to use Wendy. We're setting the Horn. Wendy is going to summon a Shaddol. And we grab back the 5 mana. So this is a weaker combo because Blazing Cartesia is not in the mix. However, this combo still does a lot. And what I talked about earlier when it came to Secretarian Dragon, I did it with this replay. So yeah, 5 mana can just grab these. It can make the Secretarian Dragon. This is the monster I was talking about. This can bring back Winda. This can bring back like the Mueller, Melulu. This could bring back like a few other stuff. This can even grab back the Gramel Dracotail if you want to. And if you have like another Dracotail, like, yeah. So this will trigger as well. You get an extra draw from Shadow Beast. You get the Melulu back. Melulu gets to trigger, Gramel gets to trigger. And yeah, it's just a lot of snowballing. Alright, so those are like the basic combos I kind of wanted to show you. Well, before the video ends, I kind of want to showcase you another replay. I think I'm going to squeeze as many replays as I can when it comes to this deck. Especially because my goal is not just for you to learn about the Dracotail deck. I want you guys to learn what happens when you face against like other decks in the meta. So we want the die roll. We're going first, and this is against the Vanquish Soul Canine deck. You're not seeing any Canine cards, but trust me, there is Canine cards in there. I kind of want to talk about Protoss real quick. So something that's really cool about Dracotail is that this is not a specific light or dark deck. Like whatever attribute they call with Protoss, we can just contest it with like other combination of cards. If they Protoss for dark, we can just make Altharion, and Altharion can just bounce the Protoss back, and it could just like amass card advantage. If they call like Earth, we can just make Apkalone and just negate this like for future turns, make it destructible, and just like keep going from there. Like Dracotail like really helped Shaddol, and they helped Tearlaments with just giving us a combination of stuff that we can do to just play around stuff like Protoss. So that's all I wanted to say about that. I attacked the Rahu. They immediately Ash Blossom. I can't blame him for that. Rahu is just a really strong card. With normal Melulu gets to activate. We're going to fuse into Altharion. We did have the Melulu Shadow combo. But the reason I make out the Altharion here is because I want to have Shadow Hedgehog back into my hand. And that's all the 5 mana. And we have multiple Muellers, so we don't care about losing one Mueller. I have to get used to a new name. Melulu. So a lot of triggers. They let it go through. We just grab all of these. We set both Dracotail traps, and we just pass turn. So we don't want to like exhaust too many of our resources. We could find mana into Winda if we want, and that gives us another card. We could have just made Winda right here with 5 mana, and then like have Winda set up as well. But I want to see what my opponent is trying to do. We don't know what they're playing, and just jumping into Winda on their turn is just a lot better. So my opponent normals Rosin. They're going to use Rosin's effect, and feel free to comment down below and tell me whether or not you feel this play is justified. I flipped the horn immediately, targeting the Rosin. My reasoning was they already are using their normal summon, and this Rosin can turn into Rock of the Vanquisher, which can just turn itself into summoning Mad Love, into grabbing the start, and this Rosin could also reveal for Jiaolong, and then Jiaolong can summon, or this can grab Holisu, and Holisu just going to keep amassing card advantage. I just wanted to simplify the game state as much as possible, and if they had like a way to tag out, so be it. And they did. They had the burger. So this is where I'm a little bit perplexed, because I chose to find mana for Winda, and this is not the best idea because there's nothing stopping my opponent from running over it with heavy burger. We don't have ways to resummon back Winda, like with our exact cards. I feel like the right play should have been to just wait until they commit their special summon. We summon Winda, and whatever they try to summon to get rid of Winda, we just contest it with the Dracotail Horn. That would have been a way better play. That probably would have ended their turn too. But again, I kind of just didn't want them to like exhaust too many of their resources. I really had nothing to be afraid of. But again, this is hindsight. Feel free to comment below what play would you have made against this deck under these scenarios, knowing what hand that they had. Well, I'm interested into seeing like your comments on it. So we now do a bunch of triggers. They're thinking, they're thinking if they're going to contest to our chains, and they're going to do heavy burger. Remember the last video when we talked about Mueller? A lot of people just get caught off guard that Mueller can negate. So just doing heavy burger to draw themselves the card is important in this instance. They do it to full autos, which really doesn't matter. And we just set the Ketu. So the Ketu Dracotail is there for follow-up. We know that they're not going to kill, they're not going to OTK us this turn because they are on the Winda, and there's nothing in their hand right now. They just contest the Winda, like at the moment. So we send Shadow Fusion with Komara, and this is basically us guaranteeing ourselves follow-up. They run over the Winda, Winda triggers, Winda grabs back the Shadow Fusion. We're showing him that we have the Hedgehog. Now they Holisu, and I just gotta fast forward it. If you are familiar with like Vanquish Soul, they're gonna do Vanquish Soul things. They're going to summon Jiaolong. They bridge into Canines. They set Liberation. They make Rock. They grab back Holisu, and the reason they grab back Holisu is just for more Canine action. So they make those two. They make Nash Knight to get rid of our monster, and now they're going to C104. And they get rid of our Ketu with the C104. Fun fact, I did not know this had the pop effect for spell traps until this game. So they're using Lantern effect. Lantern grabs the Case of Canine. They make SP. I would have made IP more than SP. I think SP is just a little bit of a waste at the moment. So now we Shadow Fusion, and when it comes to Shadow Fusion, you have to be very, very careful what you summon and what your chain links are, because we have to play around both C104 and number 17. Like these two cards are going to be very important when it comes to our chain links. So We send Wendy and Squamata, and we summon Abkalon. Remember what I said about Wendy last video? Like, yeah, just making Abkalon is very important, because Abkalon is just going to be that board breaking tool that we need in order to contest our opponent's board. Like, this C104, this SP Little Knight, and this K9 Ripper, they're all going to be contested now just because of this Shadow Fusion. And this just goes to show you just how strong Shaddolls are as an engine when it goes second. Like, last format, like prior to Juhu format, when we had like Raizio running around, I thought about playing Shadow Fusion just as an engine to break the detonator Raizio crossboard. But I ultimately didn't do it because there was no real deck or real main deck engine that we had that just was a real good backbone for Shaddolls until now. So they contest with the Ripper. So if we made Wendy Chainlink 3, the reason Wendy is Chainlink 3 and not like something like Abkalon is because of C104. I wanted to prioritize them not being able to trigger C104 because the problem here is this like negates, it takes away a card out of our hand and it burns us. That is a lot for just a negate. So the negate from this is way more important than a negate from this. They try to force liberation and we just flip the flame. Flame is really important against K9 just because of this interaction. So we stop the flame, they SP Little Knight, we drew into Lucius. That Shadow Beast is going to draw us a card. And now we're going to do some of the Lucius. They're going to Chain Rock to grab back Holisu. We grab the Pan, and Pan is very important because Pan makes it so if our opponent wants to use like any other effects, like they have to think twice because Pan can just pop a card. So the game state is simplified, quote unquote. Everything on their board has already been used. However, they still have Holisu. And they have Holisu for both effects. We need to be careful when it comes to Holisu, because Holisu is just this card that is just going to make it a lot more problematic for us. I tried to get rid of the entire board. That's basically what we're doing here. And this is basically like an Altharion combo. So we grab back our resources, and this is another thing about Dracotail that's just really strong. Like, we did everything that we did to break their board, and we still have not used the Dracotail engine. So we go on main phase 2, and we just grab like Dracotail cards. They Fualos. So in hindsight, I could have just not used the Rahu and just tried to pass turn, because you can only summon Holisu in the main phase. So in the options that they did the Holisu, we could have just contested with our cards. Later on, like, unless they play Panthera like in their deck, there is no real easy way they have to just pop our back row with like their Vanquishes. But yeah, now we're still doing main phase 2 plays. We're trying to end the main phase 2, and this is what I was talking about. Like, Holisu is just a lot on her own. Like, she just makes a lot of things possible. Now we're going to our end phase, right? Well, before the end phase, they try to Heavy Burger is going to grab us another card. They're going to draw, and we're going to get back a lot of cards as well. And this is what I was talking about when it comes to these games and just how resilient Dracotail is. So we get back the Abkalon because it was banned for the SP, But not only that, we also get back the Blazing Cartesia. And this is again just telling you how strong Blazing Cartesia is in this deck. So now it's their turn. They Heavy Burger for Mad Love. They go Vanquish Soulstar, Holly Sue. We're going to 5 mana, and they're going to SP Little Knight. And so the reason they're doing SP Little Knight is because they pretty much know almost our entire hand. The one thing they don't want is they don't want to see Winda again. I was not thinking about Winda. I was thinking about making something else. The card I was thinking about was Secretarium Dragon, and use Secretarium Dragon to grab back the Winda or grab back the Grammel. But the problem is I don't have any dragons. Like these are all spellcasters. And I wasn't thinking like that far ahead. Another play could be just make Gragwignall, and then Gragwignall just grab like a way to just contest with the Shadow cards again. But yeah, I'm just gonna scoop it here because the one play I should have done, and again, write in the comments whatever plays you think were more optimal. I should have just flip the Dracotail Horn, target the SP Little Knight. That SP Little Knight is gone. We draw another card and we make the Winda again, which puts them in the awkward spot of just running over the second Winda. And that Winda just grab us back Shadow Fusion. Dracotail Flame would have gotten back into the deck, into rotation. And again, we don't care how many cards they have. We only care about them not OTKing us, because we're just gonna keep grabbing back cards like with the Dracotails. But yeah, this was a really big deal. We let that go through, and we're just going to scoop it here because that is a very big tempo shift. So a Perulia, we activate Ketu for Mueller. Sadly, we don't have any ways of not playing around this Perulia. Like, we do have triple tactic thrust to set, but like, what are we setting? So we normal Mueller's effect. Mueller is going to summon Altharion. We're just trying to amass card advantage here. We go Rahu. We're going to grab back Mueller. We're going to Rahu, send 5 mana effect. We're going to set the flame. Urgula is going to grab back the 5 mana. That's really important. And we're trying to end the main phase, and the opponent chooses to play like on turn 0. Remember what I said last video about triple tactic thrust and how important this card is in this deck? This is why. Like, now this thrust is live, and not only that, our talents is also live. And they're just going to try to use like a lot of their Vanquish Soul cards. We don't know about the Lupus, so we're going to thrust for deployment. I don't know if this was another right play, because one other option was, hear me out. Another option is we just use the talents to force their hand before using the thrust. If they have canines, they are forced to use them. And we try to end turn, and we force them to make Ripper or forced to make an XYZ with the Lupus. And then we could thrust into Shadow Fusion and use Shadow Fusion and the Shadow cards to just try to pick apart the rest of the board and just like amass card advantage and also get Winda in rotation. That is another line I was thinking about, but I didn't think that through enough. The reason I grabbed Fusion Deployment is because grabbing Blazing Cartesia is also really good. Cartesia can also bridges us into the Shadow cards. And Cartesia is a safer play because when it comes to Blazing Cartesia, it doesn't matter if your opponent summons from the extra deck or not. We can just get to the window stuff. So that was the logic behind that. I also thought about triple tactic talents to just draw 2 cards instead of just looking at their hands. Like, looking into the hand of Vanquish Soul K9 is not as good as people think. Yes, you are getting hand knowledge, but you're already getting hand knowledge against this deck anyway. The problem with Vanquish Soul is not knowing what they have and knowing how to interact with. It's knowing if you can interact with it, because they have so many interactions against you. So they summon Heavy Burger, they Heavy Burger to draw a new card, they drew into Rhoda, and looking at their hand, so I triple tactics of talents. What do you think we put back with the talents? I'll tell you what the real answer should have been. We should have just put back the Rosin. Because by putting back Rosin, the only fire monster they have is Jiaolong. And we don't care about the Rhoda, because we have the Dracotail Flame to negate that. Basically, we put them on Holisu to just try to summon Rosin again. Another play would have been just to get rid of the Lupus. Like, getting rid of Lupus means that we don't have to worry about any more interactions that they had left. We got rid of another Holisu. Actually, yeah. We got rid of the Lupus. No, we didn't. Yeah, we got rid of the Holisu, and then they activated the Lupus. I activated the Blazing Cartesia. We make Draco's Tapelia. We summon back Grammel because we used 2 monsters while it was in the graveyard. Blazing Cartesia comes back. We negate the Lupus with the Draco's Tapelia. And in draw phase, they activate Heavy Borgar. We chain the Dracotail Horn to the Heavy Borgar. We chain the Grammel to pop the Holisu. They tried to Holisu to summon from deck, and we Draco's Tapelia that. And again, this just goes back to what I was saying. We should have just put back Rosin back into this deck, because we had a way to stop the Rhoda, and that would have meant only his Lantern K9 as a play. So we really did misplay this game. And I'm showing you this match because I want you guys to learn how not to misplay. Like, I'd rather take the hit and do all of these misplays with this deck if it means you learning how to not do these plays or do better plays with this deck. Like the bravest warriors learns not from their victories but from their defeats. But yeah, we're not winning this match. Like, they just have way too much card advantage. They normal summon the Lantern and they activate Lantern for Case of K9. And Case of K9 is another way to like battle against Winda. So yeah, that Lupus is on 3200. That Caesar is going to pop the Altharion. And yeah, we were just talking post-match stuff. So in our post-match discussion, we talked about other engines for Dracotails. That's going to be the next video, so stay tuned for that. We also need to talk about side cards that are really good against this deck, the Vanquish Soul deck. So stay tuned. More Dracotail content coming soon. But until then, keep practicing and keep dueling.